The story of Jacob begins even before his birth, in a moment of divine revelation that shaped not only his destiny but the fate of entire nations. Rebekah, Jacob's mother, experienced an unusual struggle within her womb. The unborn twins wrestled incessantly, causing her deep confusion and anxiety. Seeking answers, Rebekah turned to God, and his response was profound. "Two nations are in your womb, two peoples will be separated from within you. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." This prophecy was not just about the siblings, Jacob and Esau, it was a declaration of the eternal struggle between their descendants, the Israelites and the Edomites. The divine message emphasized that Jacob, the younger twin, would rise above Esau, defying societal norms where the eldest traditionally held power and privilege. When the time came, Esau was born first, his body covered in red hair, symbolizing his rugged and wild nature. But Jacob was not far behind, literally. His tiny hand clutched Esau's heel as if refusing to be left behind, earning him the name Jacob, meaning supplanter, or heel grabber. From the very start, Jacob's life was marked by struggle, ambition, and a divine calling that he would spend his entire life trying to understand and fulfill. As Jacob and Esau grew, their differences became strikingly clear. Esau, the elder, was a skilled hunter, wild and untamed, earning the favor of his father, Isaac. Jacob, on the other hand, was thoughtful and contemplative, staying close to the tents, where he listened to stories of their ancestors and learned wisdom from his mother, Rebekah. Their contrasting personalities set the stage for one of the most pivotal moments in biblical history. One day, Esau returned from the fields, exhausted and famished. The aroma of a stew Jacob had prepared filled the air, tempting Esau beyond reason. Overwhelmed by his hunger, Esau demanded, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew, I'm starving." Jacob saw an opportunity and seized it. With calm determination, he replied, "First, sell me your birthright." Esau, driven by his immediate physical need, dismissed the value of his inheritance. "Look, I'm about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" Without hesitation, he swore an oath, selling his birthright to Jacob in exchange for a simple meal of lentils and bread. This seemingly small exchange had enormous consequences. In biblical times, the birthright wasn't just about wealth, it symbolized leadership, spiritual blessings, and the covenantal promises of God. By trading it away so carelessly, Esau revealed his lack of foresight and appreciation for the divine inheritance. Jacob, although cunning in his approach, displayed a profound understanding of the importance of the birthright. It wasn't just a transaction, it was the first step in fulfilling the prophecy spoken over him before birth. The story of the lentil stew is a powerful reminder of the dangers of sacrificing eternal blessings for temporary satisfaction. It highlights the contrasting paths of the brothers, Esau, driven by impulse, and Jacob, guided by ambition and destiny. The birthright was only part of the inheritance Jacob sought. The blessing, a sacred proclamation from Isaac, carried divine authority and power, cementing the recipient as the chosen leader of the family. Jacob knew this, and so did his mother, Rebekah. Together, they devised a plan that would alter the course of history. Isaac, now old and blind, called for Esau, his eldest son. "My son," he said, "go out to the fields and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare it just the way I like it so that I may bless you before I die." Esau eagerly set off, unaware of what was about to unfold. Rebekah, overhearing the conversation, acted swiftly. She turned to Jacob and said, "Bring me 2 young goats from the flock, and I will prepare a meal for your father just the way he likes it. You will take it to him, and he will bless you instead of Esau." Jacob hesitated. "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am smooth-skinned. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be deceiving him and would bring a curse upon myself rather than a blessing." Rebekah reassured him, "Let the curse fall on me. Just do as I say." Following her instructions, Jacob brought the goats, and Rebekah prepared the meal. She dressed Jacob in Esau's clothing to mimic his brother's scent and covered his hands and neck with goatskins to imitate Esau's hair. With the meal in hand, Jacob entered his father's tent, his heart pounding. "Who is it?" Isaac asked. Jacob replied, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac hesitated. "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" Jacob answered, "The Lord your God gave me success." Still uncertain, Isaac reached out to touch Jacob's hands. Feeling the coarse goat hair, he murmured, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." Finally convinced, Isaac ate the meal and began to bless Jacob. "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." As Jacob left the tent, his heart raced with a mix of triumph and fear. The blessing was his, but at what cost? Moments later, Esau returned from the hunt, prepared the meal, and brought it to his father. "My father, please sit up and eat my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac trembled violently. "Who are you?" "I am Esau, your firstborn," Esau replied. Isaac's voice broke with sorrow. "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. I have blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." A cry of anguish erupted from Esau. "Bless me, me too, my father." But Isaac could only say, "I have made him lord over you. What else can I do for you?" Consumed by rage, Esau vowed, "The days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob." Hearing of Esau's plan, Rebekah warned Jacob, "Flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there until your brother's fury subsides." With a heavy heart, Jacob left his home, carrying both the blessing and the weight of his deception. With Esau's vow of vengeance echoing in his ears, Jacob fled his family home, leaving behind everything he had ever known. Alone and uncertain, he embarked on a journey toward Haran, his mother's homeland, seeking refuge with her brother Laban. The desert stretched endlessly before him, barren and unforgiving. Each step was heavy with guilt and fear. The weight of his deception bore down on his heart, and the thought of Esau's anger filled his mind. Night fell, bringing with it an eerie silence. Exhausted and vulnerable, Jacob found a flat stone, rested his head upon it, and fell into a restless sleep. Then, something extraordinary happened. In his dream, Jacob saw a ladder extending from the earth to the heavens. Angels moved up and down its rungs, ascending and descending with purpose. At the top of the ladder stood the Lord, whose presence filled the vision with an overwhelming sense of majesty and peace. God spoke, and his words were both a promise and a reassurance. "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Jacob awoke with a start, his heart racing and his soul stirred. He looked around the desolate place where he had slept, now transformed in his eyes. "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it," he said, filled with awe and reverence. He took the stone he had used as a pillow, set it upright as a pillar, and poured oil over it, consecrating the spot as holy ground. He named the place Bethel, meaning, house of God. In that moment, Jacob made a vow. "If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth." This divine encounter was a turning point for Jacob. Though his journey was far from over, he carried with him a renewed sense of purpose and hope. The God of Abraham and Isaac had now revealed himself personally to Jacob, affirming that despite his flaws, he was chosen for a great destiny. As dawn broke, Jacob rose, gathered his belongings, and continued his journey toward Haran, no longer just a man fleeing his past, but a man walking toward a future promised by God. After days of solitude in the wilderness, Jacob finally arrived near Haran. His weary steps led him to a well where local shepherds gathered with their flocks. The sight of the well brought him hope, perhaps this would be the start of a new chapter. As he approached the shepherds, Jacob inquired, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We are from Haran," they replied. His heart leapt with relief. "Do you know Laban, Nahor's grandson?" "Yes, we know him," they said. "And here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." Jacob turned and saw Rachel approaching, leading her father's flock. The sight of her took his breath away. She was beautiful and radiant, and in that instant, Jacob's heart was captivated. Summoning strength and determination, Jacob moved the large stone covering the well, a task usually requiring the effort of multiple shepherds. This act of strength and gallantry impressed Rachel, who watched in amazement as Jacob watered her flock. Jacob introduced himself, explaining that he was the son of Rebekah, Laban's sister. Overcome with joy, Rachel ran to tell her father. Laban, upon hearing the news, hurried to meet Jacob, embracing him and welcoming him into his home as family. For Jacob, meeting Rachel felt like destiny. Over the following days, his admiration for her deepened, and he found himself longing to marry her. When Laban asked Jacob what wages he desired for his work, Jacob did not hesitate. "I will work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter, Rachel." Laban agreed, and for Jacob, those 7 years felt like only a few days because of his love for Rachel. Each day, his labor in the fields was driven by the thought of their future together. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. The wedding celebration was grand, filled with music and festivity. Jacob's heart was full as he prepared to unite with the woman he loved. However, Laban had other plans. In the darkness of the wedding night, Laban deceived Jacob. Instead of Rachel, he sent his elder daughter, Leah, into Jacob's tent. When morning came, the truth was revealed. Jacob was shocked and furious. "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I worked for you? Why have you deceived me?" Laban responded with feigned innocence, "It is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this bride's week, and we will give you Rachel also, in return for another 7 years of work." Though betrayed and heartbroken, Jacob's love for Rachel was unwavering. He agreed to Laban's terms, completing the week with Leah before marrying Rachel. However, this arrangement sowed the seeds of rivalry and tension within Jacob's household. Leah, feeling unloved and overshadowed by her sister, sought solace in motherhood. God saw her pain and blessed her with children, while Rachel remained barren. This imbalance fueled a fierce competition between the sisters, each vying for Jacob's affection and legacy. For Jacob, these years were marked by love, labor, and struggle. His dreams of building a life with Rachel were complicated by the tangled dynamics of family loyalty, deception, and divine intervention. Yet, amidst the chaos, Jacob's household grew, fulfilling God's promise of a flourishing lineage. Jacob's household became a complex web of relationships marked by love, rivalry, and divine blessings. Leah, though initially unloved, bore Jacob his first sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Each birth was a testament to her longing for Jacob's affection, as she named her children with prayers and hopes for recognition. Rachel, however, remained childless, and her grief turned to desperation. "Give me children, or I'll die," she cried out to Jacob. Frustrated and helpless, Jacob replied, "Am I in the place of God, who has kept you from having children?" Determined to build a family by any means, Rachel offered her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a surrogate. Through Bilhah, Rachel claimed 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali. She declared, "With mighty wrestlings, I have wrestled with my sister and prevailed. Not to be outdone, Leah followed suit, giving her servant Zilpah to Jacob. From Zilpah came 2 more sons, Gad and Asher. Leah, now rejuvenated in spirit, also bore Jacob 2 more sons, Issachar and Zebulun, and a daughter, Dinah. This growing household reflected both God's blessings and the ongoing rivalry between Leah and Rachel. Each child represented a piece of God's promise to Jacob, but the tension in the family grew with every birth. Finally, after years of waiting and heartache, Rachel's prayers were answered. God remembered her, and she gave birth to Joseph. This child, born of the woman Jacob loved most, became the crown jewel of his family. Rachel's joy was immeasurable, and Jacob's affection for Joseph would later become a source of division among his sons. As Jacob's family expanded, so did his wealth. God's favor was evident as Jacob tended Laban's flocks. Through divine guidance, Jacob devised a method to increase the strength and number of his livestock, ensuring that his own flocks flourished while Laban's dwindled. Laban's sons began to whisper among themselves, accusing Jacob of stealing their father's wealth. Even Laban's attitude toward Jacob shifted, growing colder and more suspicious. Recognizing the rising hostility, Jacob received a command from God. "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." With his wives, children, and servants, Jacob prepared to leave Haran. Before departing, he explained to Rachel and Leah the unfair treatment he had endured under Laban and how God had blessed him despite it all. Both sisters agreed to leave, affirming that their future lay with Jacob, not their father. Under the cover of night, Jacob led his household and possessions away from Haran, trusting in God's promise to protect him. However, one act of secrecy threatened their journey. Unbeknownst to Jacob, Rachel had stolen her father's household idols. When Laban discovered Jacob's departure, he gathered his men and pursued them for 7 days. Though angered by Jacob's sudden flight, Laban was warned by God in a dream, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." When Laban confronted Jacob, the two exchanged heated words. Jacob defended his actions, recounting the 20 years of service during which Laban had repeatedly changed his wages and treated him unfairly. Finally, they reached a truce, erecting a stone pillar as a witness to their agreement never to harm each other. As Jacob continued his journey, the trials of his past began to fade into the distance. Yet, his heart was heavy with the knowledge that he would soon face the greatest challenge of all, reuniting with his brother Esau. As Jacob neared the land of his birth, the weight of the past grew heavier. He knew that his brother Esau, whom he had deceived years earlier, was nearby. The memory of Esau's vow to kill him filled Jacob with dread. Fearing for his life and the safety of his family, Jacob sent messengers ahead with gifts for Esau, hoping to soften his brother's heart. When the messengers returned, they brought alarming news: Esau was coming to meet Jacob with 400 men. Panic seized Jacob. He divided his family and possessions into 2 groups, reasoning that if Esau attacked one, the other might escape. In desperation, Jacob fell to his knees and prayed. "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper,' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me and also the mothers with their children." That night, after sending his family and belongings across the Jabbok River, Jacob remained alone. The darkness of the night matched the turmoil within his soul. Suddenly, a figure appeared, a man shrouded in mystery, and without warning, the two began to wrestle. The struggle was intense and unrelenting. Jacob's strength and determination were matched by his opponent's supernatural power. Hours passed as they grappled, neither gaining the upper hand. This was no ordinary fight, it was a battle for Jacob's very identity and destiny. As dawn approached, the man reached out and touched Jacob's hip, instantly dislocating it. The pain was excruciating, but Jacob refused to let go. With gritted teeth and a fierce resolve, he declared, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man paused and asked, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he replied, his voice strained from exhaustion. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." This declaration marked a profound transformation. Jacob, whose name had once symbolized deception and struggle, was now Israel, a name that reflected his perseverance and divine calling. The man blessed Jacob, and as the first light of dawn broke, he disappeared. Jacob, now limping from his injured hip, named the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." This encounter was a turning point in Jacob's life. No longer was he defined by his past deceit and fear. Instead, he became Israel, a man shaped by his struggles and blessed by God. As he rejoined his family, his limp served as a permanent reminder of his divine encounter and the transformative power of wrestling with God. The sun rose on Jacob as he approached the moment he had feared for so long, his meeting with Esau. Each step forward felt heavy, weighed down by memories of deception and the unknown intentions of his brother. Would Esau's wrath still burn, or had time softened his heart? Jacob carefully arranged his family, placing them in groups, with Rachel and Joseph at the back, shielding them from potential danger. Then, in an act of humility and submission, he stepped ahead of them all and bowed to the ground 7 times as Esau drew near, a gesture of respect and repentance. Esau, however, did the unexpected. Instead of anger, his face showed compassion. He ran to meet Jacob, embraced him, and wept. The years of pain and estrangement melted away in a single moment of reconciliation. Jacob, overwhelmed with emotion, said, "To see your face is like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me favorably." Esau asked about the gifts Jacob had sent ahead. Though he initially declined them, Jacob insisted, saying, "Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need." Their reunion was a testament to the transformative power of forgiveness. Esau, who had once sworn to kill Jacob, chose peace instead. And Jacob, who had spent years running from his past, found closure and redemption in his brother's embrace. Esau suggested they travel together, but Jacob, mindful of the pace his family and livestock could handle, politely declined. "Let my lord go on ahead of his servant. I will move along slowly at the pace of the flocks and the children, until I come to my lord in Seir." Though they parted ways, the encounter left a lasting impact on Jacob. It was more than a reunion with his brother, it was a tangible demonstration of God's faithfulness. Despite his fears and mistakes, Jacob saw the fulfillment of God's promise to protect him and bring him safely back to his homeland. As Jacob continued his journey, he reflected on the mercy shown to him, not just by Esau, but by God, who had orchestrated this moment of reconciliation. The past, though scarred by conflict and deceit, now served as a reminder of the grace that had carried him through. As Jacob journeyed onward, the blessings of God and the weight of his past continued to shape his life. Yet, the joy of reconciliation with Esau soon gave way to one of the most profound sorrows he would ever face, the loss of his beloved wife, Rachel. Rachel, the woman for whom Jacob had worked 14 years, the mother of Joseph, and the love of his life, was pregnant again. As they traveled toward Ephrath, later known as Bethlehem, labor pains overtook her. The journey halted as Rachel struggled through a difficult delivery. The midwife tried to comfort her. "Don't be afraid, for you have another son." But Rachel's strength was fading fast. In her final moments, she named the child Benoni, meaning, "son of my sorrow." Jacob, stricken with grief but determined to honor her memory with hope, renamed him Benjamin, "son of my right hand." Rachel passed away on the road and was buried there, near Bethlehem. Jacob mourned deeply, erecting a pillar at her grave, a testament to her life and his enduring love for her. The loss of Rachel marked a turning point for Jacob, forcing him to navigate the complexities of his growing family without her presence. Jacob's legacy, the 12 tribes of Israel. As Jacob's family continued to grow, the 12 sons born to him became the foundation of the 12 tribes of Israel. Each son carried a unique role and identity in God's plan. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, the sons of Leah, with Judah's lineage leading to King David and ultimately Jesus Christ. Dan, Naphtali, born to Bilhah, Rachel's servant. Gad, Asher, born to Zilpah, Leah's servant. Issachar, Zebulun, Dinah, additional children born to Leah. Joseph, Benjamin, Rachel's sons, with Joseph's future as a leader in Egypt foreshadowing God's provision for the entire family. Jacob's family was far from perfect. Rivalries, favoritism, and personal ambitions caused tension, but God's promise to make Jacob the father of a great nation never wavered. After years of separation, Jacob reunited with his father, Isaac, in Mamre. At the age of 180, Isaac passed away, and Jacob, alongside Esau, buried him. This moment marked the end of an era and the full assumption of Jacob's role as the patriarch of God's chosen people. Through all his struggles, Jacob's life embodied the faithfulness of God. He had wrestled with both men and God, endured trials and losses, and yet emerged as Israel, the bearer of the covenant that would lead to the ultimate fulfillment in Jesus Christ. Jacob's story serves as a reminder of how God's promises prevail despite human flaws and failures. His journey from deception to transformation, from fear to faith, reveals the depth of God's mercy in the power of redemption. To discover the incredible beginnings of this divine covenant, click on the video on screen and explore the story of Abraham, the first to receive God's promise. From Abraham's faith to Jacob's transformation, each step in this sacred lineage leads to the fulfillment of God's plan through Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Don't miss this powerful story of hope, faith, and salvation.